Marker 1964 here. Here's a ranking of the 65 racecourses I've been to, 61 in Britain and 4 in Ireland. It's not solely a necessary ranking based on the racecourse itself. I'm a great fan of real ale, if you've ever listened to my videos, so if there's some decent real ale pubs nearby, it might get a little bit higher up. And there's other things maybe that may make racecourse higher or even lower, just about the local area or something of interest. So we start with number 65, Toaster. Went once. Missed the first few races because of disastrous stagecoach bus breaking down in Milton Keynes. Not Toaster's fault, but Toaster Racecourse, the only two things I can remember about Toaster. First thing was, it was the first racecourse I've ever seen. I think the new rule and the remounting was banned, and I remember seeing that race when I was watching the Cheltenham Festival just on the bookies, and the Toaster races on there as well. And that happened there. And also in 1997 there's a trial race which I'm heard of featuring Wellkill, Collier Bay and Scottafigna, so those 3 horses, because of issues about getting a race into those horses. That's all I can tell you about Toaster. I'll say that I came up with a spreadsheet about best part 10 years ago now maybe. I listed races which had either any group or grade or listed race, any race 10,000 up or more to a winner, any class 2 race, or any race just of vague interest. The only race course had nothing whatsoever in it was Toaster. Been once, wouldn't be in a hurry to have gone again if it hadn't closed due to probably incompetent management. 64, Chelford City. It actually has 2 listed races, and you'll find out this video, sadly, if you keep going on through it. The higher race courses often have the group graded listed races. I like going to these sort of meetings, so these race courses tend to higher up. So race course with 2 listed races would be 64, so that's how much I dislike Chelford City. Was called Greatleys, went to administration after a year. I went 2015, went a couple of years ago, I'm planning to go in May. I also now can't pay for staff up here, only paying 80% of the wages for our staff. I found that out yesterday. So it's possibly going back into administration again. Wouldn't really surprise me. Can't stand the course. See about 2 furlongs of it. There's a number of people unhappy about that because of the design of the course. It's ridiculous, similar to Chester and Cartmel. It is a very strange design. You have to filter ID to get in. I suspect that's an issue of Essex County Council. Apparently they're licensing for a racecourse, but no other racecourse needs photo ID to get in. I nearly ended up for 2 years ago not realising this. It was only I happened to take an email saying, oh my lord, he needs photo ID. I had not realised this. It was on my ticket I had, but I didn't look for it because I didn't expect it to be there, because there's no reason for it to be there. It was impossible to get to Greatleys itself. It's actually in Greatleys, not Chelmsford City. If it was in Chelmsford, like the old Gallywood course roundabout was, I think, maybe near Chelmsford, that would actually have helped. But you have to go from Greatleys, you have to go across a right of way, across a dual carriageway to get to the racecourse as a pedestrian, not a course I'm going again only solely because it somehow has 2 listed races there. 63, Chester. Born in Chester, but like Michael Owen, I was only there because Chester Hospital is nearer to where my parents were living in North Wales. Didn't stay there long. Chester I actually really like. I like the place. So the racecourse thinks it's as good in York and it's not. Thinks it's got better racing when it actually has. Has a dress code literally stating a well-tailored suit. There was a joke once, someone saying about this was Gokwan, who's, I don't know if he's still around, the guy, but was he at the entrance checking everyone out. It was ridiculous, expensive, difficult to get to wagering, difficult to get good views, no time of course at all. 62, Newton Abbot. Been once, would like to go again just because I've only been to Newton Abbot once. I only Toasted the only British racecourse I've only been to once, apart from Newton Abbot. Racing is not great. Train costs are a fortune, which is why I haven't been back. That's not Newton Abbot's fault, it's because I'm in Newcastle, and Newton Abbot is not in Newcastle, it's well over into Devon. But I don't think there's been much decent racing there. There's actually when I went to every racecourse in Britain at some between 2015 and 2016. That's one I did because simply it was summer jumping and in essence, or at least not winter. So in the end of March, it was had to do it then. I've been started Aintree, we had a national meeting on Thursday and at the end of March in Newton Abbot. But I mean, I wouldn't mind going back just to go back to Newton Abbot, but I didn't much of note. Sedgefield, number 61, Durham National, a decent race. But I don't think it's great racing around the whole. Not much else to say about it really. It's used to do a very good Cheltenham preview event hosted by Tomo. I know Derek Thompson's not everyone's greatest cup of tea there, but he did a decent job of it. Fortunately, I think the Weaver were all go northeast, or wherever it was, took a bus off basically late evening to get back to Durham, so I can't go to that anymore. It's not complete rubbish Sedgefield, but racing apart from the National isn't great. I think there was one race I think was half decent, and that's just a bit off the schedule actually. And he went to my birthday a few years ago to that meeting. Or did I go to my birthday? I can't remember. I don't think I did. But racing, it's, all white, not much more than that. Number 60, Fosslas. I went to it once. In fact, another one racecourse I've been to. Actually, sorry, I'm lying about race. Albert, and Toast, I've been to Fosslas once as well. It was a different racecourse to me to get to from Newcastle. I went to it once. Heard the just up meeting. Got there just 2 minutes before the first race from a taxi from one of the stations nearby. I got an overnight coach across, and the horse fell at the first hurdle. To be honest, I can't remember a blind thing about Fosslas. I did have a big screen actually. That's one thing I just remember now. Very strange. New racecourse, no big screen. That was odd. I don't think I hopefully have now. Catterick, another. Let's go north, another one of the nationals in 59. Catterick, one of the problems, I try and leave off transport issues and how easy they are to get to from Newcastle, but Catterick, well, it's amazing, we looked at might be back to having some way of getting out of Catterick now. So I had to walk all the way across the 45 minutes to Colburn across the A1 to actually get back. Racing is, okay. You've got the Catterick Dash, you've got the North Yorkshire National, but to be honest with you, I don't think overall racing is all that great at Catterick. Brighton 58. I actually had Brighton lower down actually. Then I thought, hang on, we get a decent view when it's not terrible weather at Brighton. Or the east side of Brighton, you don't see Brighton city, so to speak, because of the stands as oriented to that of the other way around, so you can actually look to the east and Brighton, the city of Brighton, to the west of the racecourse. So I've been twice. Once first in the meeting, almost got cancelled after 30. A delay of 30 minutes because the sea score was so bad. You can see about half a furlong of the first race. To be honest, though, I went the second time I went. I was at a conference. Decided, I don't fancy for about 5 days, didn't fancy the afternoon or something or other, so I decided I'd go to Brighton Racecourse for the day, which I hadn't bothered, because when I got there, I found out that it was actually £25, and I actually could have got 18 quid of advance sort of ticket beforehand, but I wasn't sure what's happening. Maybe some of this conference, I knew quite a few people might just ask to go on a meet for coffee or a pint or something, and I went, I'd rather than that, meet people than go to Brighton. It was actually, I think, an 8-race card, it was a split race meeting. You got an 8th race as well, but almost all classics racing. For ages, it wasn't never one along with Fakenham, Hexham, Toaster as well. There was no Class 2 race at all at Brighton. Fakenham found one, and Brighton quite recently had a Class 2 race, but really, racing's rubbish. Hexham, some people won't like me having Hexham at bottom one, but Magic Mike certainly won't. But frankly, a lovely view. Great, you get views all over North though. You don't have to pay 20 or quid or whatever for, club tickets about 20 quid at Hexham. You don't have to pay that to get nice views of the North. I just don't think much of Hexham's racing is, frankly, in my view, not good enough. It relies too much on its view. Not that long ago, I was saying in one of my videos, I got there, tried to get a club ticket, got to the club enclosure, suddenly found that they sold me a different ticket. The club enclosure had sold out. Probably just hadn't told me this, and it just tell people, sorry, club enclosure sold out. Fine, I'll buy a grandstand ticket then. You didn't charge you a club ticket, it was just for a grandstand, but he just didn't told me, and I didn't think it. And early on, I know I heard someone get rather annoyed with me in one queue for 10 minutes because of poor signage at Hexham. I mean, it says you get great views, but get views on North not paying for it. Saying it still isn't a Class 2 race all year. There's one or two half adequate races. That was a £10,000 to win a race recently in Hexham, which is that's coming a long time, I think, but still not great. Ludlow 56. Been a couple of times. Not much I can say. It's a right racecourse. I mean, this is one thing. One of the middle, I finally often went away from the top, say, group, about 10, and the bottom 10. The rest of them, sort of, got a few of these. I'm not sure. Maybe the top 20 is quite set. There was a group of racers in the middle and towards the bottom, but I don't really know where to put easily. So, but Ludlow, it's a perfectly alright place. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's. I went to a decent race meeting there not too long ago, about a couple of years back, but it's not of any great interest. Yarmouth 55. That's another one with listed race done. Musker? I always forget. Musker, I think it might be. I always forget what the name is of it. Listed race. Yarmouth, I just remembered actually, and I am going to hold Yarmouth down to 55 by having a listed races. First of all, 2015, when Yarmouth was so incompetent, another winning racing company course I'm not a fan of at all, screwed up the opening. And I never told me, never emailed me. I found out that it wasn't we're opening after renovation of a track and they screwed up and basically had to delay it a month. Because just when I started going for Racing Post and suddenly saw an article, I think, I hadn't seen that. I'd been a couple of days before and I'd have looked at the form and thought, oh, right, there's nothing from Yarmouth. And his people possibly could have turned up without doing, meeting to be on, because they did not tell people it had been cancelled. It's another racecourse actually. I might just do a little change here, because I remember they did that as well, a bit annoying as well. I might leave it where it is actually, I'm not sure. But yeah, Yarmouth, it doesn't seem a particularly interesting place. In fact, that meeting, I looked at what things to do, and because the meeting was cancelled, I still had to train to Yarmouth for a ticket. Rather cheap, luckily, 20 quid each way. And I realising was not much doing Yarmouth and just stayed in Newcastle for the day. It's an okay track, but nothing greatly interesting. Southwell, I'll not call it Southwell, whatever you want to call it, it's still 54. So what's a split opinion? I think it's more commonly called Southwell than Southwell. A lot better racing than it used to have. Actually, I was at a meeting, I was showing a few videos a couple of years ago, maybe about 3-4 years ago now actually. It was in Southwell's most important, valuable meeting in its history, and it wasn't a great meeting. There's a lot of really nice races now, but once Southwell actually put a really valuable race right at the end of the card, and it meant I had to get my train and leave. I mean, it's quite difficult to trains out of Southwell actually. We were at Wollaston. But that's not what racecourse is for particularly, but it's just rather difficult. I mean, it's not particularly interesting. You've got some nice Newark's got some nice pubs, but really, an okay racecourse, nothing more than that. Thirsk, 53. Again, there's not much to say about Thirsk. It's an okay racecourse. I've been a few times, the first Hunt Cup, but there's a few fair pubs in Thirsk. I know I'm drinking in, but that's about it. I mean, it's an okay racecourse. There's not much more I can say about Thirsk, really. Cartmel 52. I'm not the only person who's getting a bit tired of Cartmel, really. Expensive, I know not many meetings, but still it's not cheap. The views are bizarre, it's designed bizarrely. And I remember during COVID when the race was reopening 2021, got to Cartmel, went on the back of the race course. It was a lovely right away actually, it's a nice 40-minute walk. Just like we did at Cartmel, had it at 56. I've actually moved to 52 because I forgot about a very nice right-of-way walk actually, which is just too far. It's done a bit more testing, mainly because it's too much weight on recently. So Cartmel's gone up actually to 52, solely because of that. But as I was saying, and then suddenly, hang on, we're at Cartmel. I forgot about that. Well, COVID year, race was reopening. Went a long right way, as I still remembered it. Got her back, she found out, you're not setting people into the centre of the racecourse where things happening, horses parade doing were and pre-parade doing were like Cartmel. Just never told people that in advance. I probably wouldn't have bothered going if I known that, because I just got bored. It was a very well on my video I put on Cartmel at the time. I said I'm literally getting bored. You could just buy stuff. It was just tiresome, really. A few people are now getting a little tired of Cartmel for thinking it's resting on its quirkiness, I would say. But I'm afraid, no. Bangor D51, an oddly designed course, very strange design. I've got a video out about your strange design. Why the finishing line is particular to the non-stands. I remember a story of one said about two different BBC commentators, both Julian Wilson and Peter Sullivan, so it might be apocryphal actually, saying that if we're going past the stands at Bangor and then saying, aren't these stands at Bangor? Well, aren't. It's a pretty okay racecourse. When I was looking around, they have an image of John Powell saying he comes racecourse quite a bit, and I've seen the former Super World Champion at Bangor indeed. You only say, along with Stato, with Angus Lockwood, the only sort of non-obvious racing person I actually recognised and seen at a racecourse actually. But it's a strange design. Some fair pubs in Wrexham, God knows, nothing in Bangor whatsoever, though. Bangor D anyway, another banger. It's got a listed race, it's got no race named after Anne Dessence of Westminster, formerly owner of Arkle. There's not much more to say. At least you get a few racecourses at Wrexham, but not much else to say there. Worcester 50. Worcester actually gains a few places because they have a race named after sadly late jockey Richard Davies, who was killed in a fall about 30 years ago, and I believe looked this up, and I believe there's family connections with why they have a race named after him, but it's been going for a long time. It's nice to see a race named after Richard Davies. I actually went to that meeting, partly to see for that meeting, and partly for, I think it was brush hurdles. I don't know if still at Worcester. I've only been twice at Worcester. But apart from that, it's not the greatest racecourse. I don't know, it's not much on there. It's some fair racing, but there's not much to really talk about. Taunton 49. Another of the ones of listed races to have quite low down, as you ever say. That probably means there's some issues there. The worst thing about Taunton last time was trying to leave the racecourse, and it was a bus went the wrong way or something, and it's a nightmare. I was no staff in Taunton at all, doing anything at all to sort people out by getting out to the racecourse bus. Racecourse bus left the main road in the end. It wasn't supposed to, and I didn't know this. And they were gone. And I thought, bloody hell, But then there's an old guy with a grey beard, all like you've ever seen with Southwest Racing, an old guy, and he has badges all over the shop, and therefore he knows his stuff, I thought, at least. And he was still there, so I thought, well, I'll hang around to see who he is. But another bus turned up and we had to get home. But, I went down, I remember, I'm talking real loud. I haven't really talked about it too much, but there's not much really talk about it, really, too much. Cricketers Pub I drank in Taunton, definitely. First, I had a pint in 2 different pubs. The Cricketers Pub Taunton, I definitely drank in. First time I went 2 times at Taunton. Second time was listed race. It's okay, nothing special. Fakenham 48. Again, when I went to Fakenham, I've only been twice. The first time, there's no big screen then either. Very strange. Don't quite understand. It's very strange design racecourse of the racecourse finishing line, really. At the Norfolk National, which the meeting I went to last time I was there, it's a pretty nice racecourse. Again, there's a few places Fakenham, because it's a very nice walk to racecourse, actually, just from Fakenham to racecourse. It's very picturesque, through trees, nice walk. That's about all I can say about Fakenham. Some fair pubs. Actually, one pub I drank a pint before and a pint after racing. Didn't see any other pubs really there, but I saw a few others since then. Last time round, that's fine. Bath 47, a couple of listed races. I certainly would have thought it used to have most cancelled meetings because they had a watering system for various reasons, which seemed. Some reasons I thought were a bit strange actually as well. I'm not sure why on earth it didn't. Can't say much about pubs. God knows about Bath, because I don't think under 2 times into Bath I don't think I have the time to actually drink anywhere, because it's Newcastle to Bath, it's a long time on the train. So there's 2 listed races, not much else I can say about Bath. Plumpton moved up to 46, we're putting a bit lower than I remember to really value racing of Plumpton. Sadly what were we, third, are we? Today I was hoping it to Plumpton with Sussex National. It was going to last year, and on the day it got cancelled because of weather, so I ended up staying a day in the British Museum because I don't feel much in Plumpton. Don't know about pubs, only been twice, and there's a train station basically next to the racecourse, so yeah, I didn't bother hanging around at Plumpton to drink anywhere. I don't know how long I had anyway. So you got a lot of good valuable races, a couple of Easter, the Sussex Stampede Hurdle, Sussex Stampede Chase, the Sussex Days Hurdle, which is like today, as long as we were Sussex National. So Plumpton really made an effort, I think, in getting some decent racing. So 46, you could argue it could be higher, maybe, but it's certainly good. It's certainly not better than a number of them. Market Raisin 45. One thing I said, Market Raisin, absolute real old desert. Once I actually had a 6th-race card method in split race. 7th race, I actually ignored the 7th race and just got the earlier train because they would have to wait about 2 hours. And Market Raisin, there's no real great in Newark, especially Newark Micro Pub, just be a Micro Pub. So it's been sold on to someone. I'm not quite sure what's happened. I used to be a Middlesbrough guy who used to be always seemed to be behind the bar, and then I think I don't quite know what's happening with that. Some nice pubs definitely in Newark. Market Raisin has some decent racing. It's not bad, it's decent racecourse. So there's some good racing there. So yeah, Market Raisin, it's a decent racecourse, but it's higher a number of them, but still below a number of the others. Hayford 44. I was there, I went to it when they opened actually. To be frank, Hayford's partly up this high up there. I said I would do some things externally I was taking into account when I'm looking at the racecourse. And the Mappa Monday at Hayford Cathedral, really interesting. I was planning to do a second one with Hayford, do that, and then found I had to pay very long. But it's worth doing. Hereford, there's some fairway. It was a decent restaurant the last time round, but really it's gained some nice pubs. So it's gained Hereford's almost gained from selling nothing of Hereford Racecourse. Leicester 43, and that's one of that. Went to the Third Museum, which is very interesting and also very good on with Wars of Roses actually. Very worth well visiting. Some decent racing, and we walk along the misnamed. I think it's New Road, New Walker maybe. It's actually from the start of the 19th century. Very picturesque, very beautiful. It's a bleeding track though. Leicester is best sort of 3 miles from the station over to a racecourse. And last time I think I went with a bus actually, because I was actually at the Richard III Museum, so I needed to get to a racecourse as I was there for a meeting. Some good racing. God dear, though, it's one was difficult at the racecourse we had to get into as a pedestrian. It's the wrong side of the. In fact, no, I think whatever side you're on, it's like going across three rows of traffic basically into the racecourse from the certainly the Leicester side. No matter which side you're going on, it's really difficult to get into. God knows it's just an absolute pain. So Leicester's alright, but it's not fun to get into. And it's just a couple of things which, one of the reasons I have mentioned in my videos quite a few times now, you don't overfish your stewarding, we need some, and there was issues as I had recently, I think in Haydock actually, with lack of stewarding, where 2 people standing in the sort of the seated area, and with salmon and Leicester was 2 things, one of which I was just watching away. So I had some binoculars in those days. I tend not to take them. There's too much hassle for me to bother to carry them around nowadays. Quite large, and I just can't be the ones I normally use, and they're just heavy. But I just watched a man who was older than me. I'm 53 now, and must have been about 7 years ago. I was just watching away, and he literally shook his hands as a joke when I was home straight in front of my binoculars for about a couple of seconds. I don't know who he was. Never met him before. I mean, I could not tolerate it. It was a friend of mine doing it. I wouldn't mind, It's, as I said, my friends don't go racing anyway. But if I done it, someone I knew did a joke, I don't mind, I done it a bit of a joke. But not when someone's never met me before. I just did it, and I was took a job. I didn't tell him where to bleeding go. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was here with his wife, I assume it was. I was second issue at Leicester as well. This is lack of stewarding. It was last time wasn't so bad. Previous meeting maybe it was. People were again in the seats standing up, and it's just annoying. The seats are there for a reason. And I don't really need to say people shouldn't have fun, but at some point it can be annoying, and it means you shouldn't force other people to stand up basically. Lingford 42. Racing actually alright, as there was Group 3 races, the Surrey National with some listed races. What knocks Lingford down a little bit to 42 is the only 2 times 2 or 3 times I felt uncomfortable at a race course with Lingfield when it was some sort of meeting and raining, and someone put as a joke in inverted commas, put a 20 quid note. It was a group of youngish people, early 20s. Probably someone put as a joke, put a £20 note in the back of my hood, and basically it was just having a good day. And a young woman next to me whispered in my ear so he couldn't hear, saying, "I'm sorry, he's an idiot," or words to that effect. I don't know what she said, but she basically called him and thought he was an idiot. And the other time there was some real issue. There was a bloke who obviously maybe said, "Oh, I think this horse might do well," and his friends, again in the comments, were really making sarcastic comments, "Oh, well done, mate," or "Oh, that was fantastic, wasn't it?" And a really sarcastic man, and I just stopped off. Since in for a final race, and I don't blame him. He needs better friends, frankly. It was just uncomfortable, right? As an issue, one of racecourse, I found a little uncomfortable as well, but strangely enough, that's racecourse number 1, and I still, despite that, I've placed that number 1. If I remember that issue, I'll try and mention it, but I mean, it's racing's alright, but it's just a couple of times it's been a bit, only 2 times been a bit iffy. Maybe with these sort of major meetings or something, maybe it comes a bit strange. Who talks to 41? I'm not absolutely sure whether it's actually had a Lingfield really. They've got Midlands National, I like my Nationals, so maybe that's the case. First time I went to talk to 2 times, I was actually massively unwell. I was ill. I think my house tour went to a racecourse. I was ill on a train going down to a racecourse and another racecourse. And I was just knackered. I couldn't hardly move. A second time I went to Midlands National. Pubs, God knows, they're so crowded I couldn't even do any of them. I like Midlands. I like my national, my sort of major regional national is probably the major one really outside the major main force, I would say, in the country. Counting in Ireland as well, so in British Isles. But, so is the 5th one, I think. An issue Toxie does have is issues of certain ones. I know the Summer Cup, I think, being held on Sunday. Problem is, there's basically no public transport you Toxie on Sunday. There's literally no buses at all out of either Derby, maybe Cougar on the other side. Trains are equally disastrous, and the first train only gets me Toxie on 3 o'clock on Sunday. Kelso's got the same sort of problem about public transport of those days. So that is an issue, of course, has. As for that, I'll put it in at 41, but maybe it could be lower, but holding it at 41. Wolverhampton 40. I quite like the design of Wolverhampton. I either like traditional design or a decent modern design rather than crap sort of modern design. And Wolverhampton, I think, it looks a modern way done because it must have been done racing when the all weather came in. And I think it's not, and it's well done. I mean, racing, the only big problem with me Wolverhampton is they could get cheap trains from Carlisle from Newcastle to Wolverhampton if they weren't living evening meetings or most of the time for decent racing. It's only been a couple of times, including the they do a Fauna Stakes, where I had to struggle to get to because the track renovation stopped me going to it via Carlisle. So I don't know about pubs. I don't think I think I had a pint with Wolverhampton before racing this year because I think quite early. Well, the place seems fine. Some nice things to look around and see. Don't have an issue with it particularly. So yeah, it's modern, looks good, and I think it looks a professional racecourse. I would say. 39 Carlisle Rocky Club have taken off a free bus going up from Carlisle station or a bus station to a racecourse. We kept on going back down again, which makes absolutely no sense. It's uphill's a problem. Racing is decent enough. Some Melissa races, Colin Parker Memorial, and with some Cumberland Plate, with Carlisle Bell, Cumberland Bell. I think it's Carlisle Bell's the name. Well, last time I was there, we were bleeding well. Won many race cards. Either they ran out before first race and having to sell at all. Just a sheet of paper, coloured paper and stuff on it. It was just like, it wasn't good. I don't know what had happened with them. I really don't. There's some really nice pubs in Carlisle. But King's Head's good. There was another pub nearby I drank in. So Carlisle's a nice enough place. I like the place is quite nice, but yeah, the lack of it's different now. It's more difficult now to get to. I put too much weight on, so it's difficult. It both takes it out of me, but it's solidly uphill to go on a racecourse. It really is. And I know for the last time we went at racecourse, but previously, more recently they did. Not very professional, frankly. 38 Kelso. I was thinking about this just now about a working meeting at Kelso, and they sort of I got to Berwick Station when it was cancelled. I had a bit. I cleared the Facebook account. Not the Facebook account in a minute, but I had in the Facebook then. That Kelso hadn't contacted people, and they literally said we couldn't phone everyone up, and maybe trying to make me look like an idiot. I don't think they deliberately did. I'm not sure what hell we're doing. I'm not expecting to phone people up, idiots. I'm thinking, but it's people email. Just for the email people and then say I'm sorry the meeting's cancelled. Why in the hell you don't do that? I don't know. So I just stayed at home, as it was raining anyway in Berwick. I didn't hang around in Berwick actually, I just got down and keep train back again. So tractor train, but finally there's a way of getting to Kelso on Sunday. I've now found out there's a meeting on Sunday, new listed race at Kelso I knew nothing about. I was just going to video on, I do a video on waiting to coming up with my viewer might like. And I looked at this Kelso and I think I knew it was on. From doing something earlier in the second meeting, I thought, hang on, I don't know this meeting at all. It's completely new. It wasn't on last year. This meeting last year was cancelled, but I've checked on that race's website, and there's no evidence of the meeting. It says races on where the race was listing, and certainly the race wasn't there, so it's a new listed race. I can no existence or evidence of when it came in. There's no BHA press release I can see or anything. I just cannot see when it came in. But Sunday's always been difficult. Twice I went round coach by Edinburgh back down to Treatbank and I tractor train then. It's done rather expensive. Recently they bought an additional service from Berwick Station, so I now start using that. 18 quid return is not cheap. The commercial bus used to be 10 to Kelso, and it went up to 10 actually. They're about 2022 I think. And there was only 5 people on it last time round, and I was thinking, what surprise, 18 quid return, it's not cheap. And there's some nice pubs in Kelso, and in fact it wasn't just Sunday when there was no public transport, and it's now, it used to be difficult, now impossible to get the 6-7 bus sorted out on Sunday to get there and get back again. It used to have to miss either first or last 2 races, depending on when it was in the year, and now it's just impossible. It just is, whereas 6-7 bus basically doesn't run in with time. It wasn't even less than it did before. I'm thinking, because there's a nice micro pub in Kelso. There's other nice pubs in Kelso. Pubs are very nice, actually. Once actually stayed strong myself overnight in Kelso. I was just hanging around Kelso, because the bus got a bit unclear, and I panicked a bit, which is unfortunate, and because it wasn't clear where Lee left from, and I sort of panicked, and I went somewhere else, and I missed the bleeding bus, and I thought, oh God, do you want to stay overnight? So I might we'll just wander around Kelso, and I ended up wandering around Kelso basically all night. That was fun, I must say. 37 font, well, I'm putting it in here as a grade 2 National Spirit Hurdle. There's also the Southern National. Well, racing's okay. And that's one I should put it higher up, because I'm now remembering there's a nice pub in Fontwell, and I was staying over that for this meeting actually. I'd gone to, now where though, Lingfield? I think on Lingfield, and then the day after was the Southern National. I don't know what I was watching Lingfield, it was something of some meeting anyway. And I thought, oh, I'll go to this pub, this evening in Fontwell, staying whatever it is, National the Explorer Inn, Express thing, National Premier Inn, whatever it is, I can't remember what the I think it's Travelodge. And I was staying overnight. I thought, oh, I'll go around Brightman. Here was a pub. And I found, a pub. Oh, we've got some music on. Oh, that's really good. Oh, yeah, there's some music. And then I found there's a beer festival as well. I think, oh, double win. So it's actually a decent pub there. Whether it always has that sort of stuff on, I don't know. I put it in at 37. Maybe I couldn't put it higher up with that. I think I hold it at 37. It used to be an interesting old Total Hunter Chase meeting where I might have been tempted to go to. I went to a Stratford one once. But that meeting disappeared, one disappeared into thin air. I just thought it might be interesting, even a meeting to go to just once, so maybe. So Fort Well 37. Windsor 36. It's getting to and from Windsor Racecourse from a station. It's gained and lost ground on my ratings. It's one of the nicest walks to Racecourse. You go along the Thames. You even get a boat actually to a racecourse in that once. Really interesting. Like we walk to racecourse. First half is nice enough. Second half is, it's just basic stuff. You have to go off the Thames there. But my God, it's a nightmare getting back again. I've twice got lost in Windsor Station. It's in a shopping centre next to it, and it just sounded just terrible. And I had a pint. And it was not where I got lost. I thought, I know where it is. I'm just using Google Maps, and it wasn't as clear as I thought it would be. But to be frank, the signage in the Windsor Eton. There's two stations, not Riverside, but the other one is just nightmare trying to find where Earth is supposed to be, and I missed a train. So once I thought I missed a train, I actually got my train time wrong. It was actually later on I thought, and I had when I thought it was, I missed it. The second time I did miss it. I had to get a new train ticket out of London to Newcastle. Was not happy about. A racecourse, bought jumps racing back. It was interesting. Or seemed to change no longer a figure of 8 for the jumps. Some decent enough racing. They did at one point bring a bizarre plan to have that you couldn't do parade ring if you have a second class sort of ticket, so premier ticket. That lasted one meeting, and I think the public was so annoyed by it that they changed it at the next meeting. So you can tell that people were not impressed, frankly, by it. So that's Windsor. Perth 35. It's an Angus, a nice racecourse. Played some nice pubs in Perth. A nice racecourse. It's not hovering in the middle here. There's a couple of listed races. Highland National. It's one of these which I'm holding in the middle of my thing. There's number of racecourses better than first, and number of racecourses better than Perth, and number of worse than Perth. The first time I went to try to get to Perth, I had delayed because there was a train got cancelled out of Edinburgh because it hit an animal or something. I can't remember what animal it hit. But Perth's okay. It's in the middle. Yeah, 35. Wincanton 34. Got the King One hurdle. Been 3 times in Wincanton. Was trying to get to the Sunset National 2 years ago, managed brilliantly to book one meeting. Wasn't a problem. The problem was the wrong train. Right train for the meeting I went to and was booked for was the wrong meeting. Also, there's a bit of an arse trying to get to it. I'm trying to avoid putting transport issues on here, but with the free bus from Temple Combe, we have to get used to be like 2 hours before first race, and that was an arsehole trying to get a train from Newcastle to 2 hours before first race and basically to Somerset. It was not fun. And then that first time I found out there's no taxis or anything in that meeting. This is the Elite Hurdle at Badger Bay meeting. Another time I went to first time I went to, of course. Then I went to Gillingham Station, one back from Temple Combe. Not Gillingham, as spelt the same, pronounced differently, and I ended up sharing the taxi with two racecourse with two of the owners of Irving, a very good hurdler from a while ago now. But it's got some decent racing in Canton. Pubs, God knows, I don't know. I don't think I've drunk in Temple Combe. I don't know any pubs in Temple Combe. Probably Gillingham, but that's the one. Gillingham's not why it stopped for the racecourse. Warwick 33. Managed to get to the Lady Godiva race for the third year of trying to get to it two times. So it was 2022, 2023. It got cancelled on the day when I was travelling down. Warwick actually, oddly enough, for that reason, ends up in 33. I think it might be because there are nice things in Warwick. Warwick Castle a little expensive, but nice day Warwick Castle. Unfortunately, I then had a train delay of 2 hours in Birmingham before I went. I got a ticket for Warwick Castle, realising race meeting being cancelled. I was going to. This is 2022, sorry. And I'd gone down, and then the train broke. There was a train issue in Birmingham, which meant I got to Warwick Castle quite late. It's not the cheapest place to go on, but it looks a nice place. I went with some gardens, and then the next year I went to some gardens in Racecourse. That was nice, and some nice medieval place in Warwick as well. A nice pub I keep ending up in, I think, in Warwick, and after 3 visits to it. So all enough for Warwick again. There's some good racing as well there. So it ends up where it is, partly because there's nothing to the racecourse. Exeter 32, some decent racing, some listed races come in. Agatha Christie race, don't quite know why Agatha Christie's got a race now. I looked it up, I can't remember the answer. why there's a race at Exeter after Ascot Christie. There's a few decent races there. There's obviously the Oldham Cup as well. It's the first time, 3 times to Exeter. I didn't go to Exeter for 10 years, and then I went 2 times in about 3 weeks last year. Oh, this year. Well, it's not this year. Pubs, I don't know. I tried to find one. I then made the mistake of not checking its opening time correctly online. I found out it was closed. I was all annoyed, and then realised it was completely my mistake. I just hadn't set the time correctly. I wasn't paying attention. Racing decent in Exeter. Racecourse bus, so it goes on the expressway, the Devon Expressway, or whatever it's called, and it was like you joke from Blackadder about asthmatic ants with heavy shopping. It was so slow, it was that embarrassing going up this hill. It was ridiculous. God was going on there. I like Racecourse as well. I think it's some decent enough racing where Essex itself seems fine. Laytown 31, been once, a unique racecourse. I'm not sure I'll go back again ever because it's a one-off thing. We're on a beach and racecourse in Europe. The only racecourse I've been walked on before racing, basically. So I was there beforehand. I'm an absolute cock. I usually, if I'm not sure when I'm racing, it might start. I usually check the last 2 years of its start time, thinking, oh, right, well, that's when I get my training, that's fine. Okay, if I need a bus, or just what time I need to get to a racecourse for, and and I forgot to for Laytown, and hadn't realised that in fact the start time was varied, and I suddenly found out when the meeting started 2 hours later. This was 2017, I had the year before, and basically I already got a plane from Newcastle to Dublin and back again. I booked, and to get the plane back out of Dublin in the evening, I'd have to actually leave after the 3rd race, or maybe the 4th. And I thought, oh god, that's a disaster. We did this about a week before the meeting when I realised what times were. Had a look. Found out that, well, I don't think it's the case nowadays, but I realised I'd get a plane the next day out of Dublin for 15 quid again, or 50 euros, whatever it was. And, oh, right, I go 8 in the morning, 8 in the evening. I thought, well, I can go to Dublin. I have no plans that day. I don't think there's anything I need to do. Or I can go to Dublin for the day then. And I found, what was it, Dublin, Trinity College Dublin, or something. Obviously, we're hiring, and this is early September, we're hiring out rooms of the students, basically, obviously, for the summer. And I spent 50 quid, perfectly nice room for a night. I spent a very nice night in Dublin. Daytime racing, it's not high quality. I mean, that's why it's not only half of 31, but it's a unique thing to do. Job will do once, but unless I really knew people who were going to go, I wouldn't go again. 130, Grade 2 Peterborough Chase. It's a game of Jock Club, however, taken a rather strange minibus thing, where they sort of shuttle service off between the racecourse and Dewey Station and the racecourse. It's a bit of a pain, that. But then Huntington was a decent enough place. I don't really look much around it. But very nice pubs. It gets in number 30 and Highlands 1 or 2 do the Grade 2 tracks do, because there's very nice pubs there actually. Well, that's what I can say about Huntington. Salisbury 29. Again, it's slightly racing related, because I had an evening meeting at Salisbury. And I thought, I'll get into Salisbury, or train from Newcastle, and I had a nice time just in Salisbury. Went to the cathedral, went round somewhere else, and then went round Hamilton's? I think it's called the former home of former Prime Minister Sir Edward Heath. And I didn't know, I just turned up there, just to look around, thought, that might be interesting. There's a really great collection of political cartoons he had. I didn't know that, and it's really useful. It's really interesting going round. I had a very interesting classical music. In fact, probably could have been a professional musician or music scholar or something if he hadn't been a politician. It's interesting. It's about his life. I enjoyed it. Salisbury, with Westwood itself, some decent racing. Got one poor bloke that turned up once accidentally thinking it was Buster Stonehenge. I didn't realise it was. I thought he didn't look like he was going racing, but I didn't want to judge, and it wasn't obvious he wasn't. But he looked like a bit more. He didn't look like a typical race goer. It was unfortunate, but that was partly because of the bleeding bad signs of the buses. I don't blame him actually. But like Salisbury's decent. Racing's decent at Salisbury. Stratford 28, the main meeting there, the 100 Days Finals meeting I went to a few years ago. Why Stratford 28? It's interesting. It's Shakespeare. And yep, again, nothing too related to racing. I think there's some decent pubs there. I'm not sure. I think I drank in one for a pint or something. But to be honest, I'm a great Shakespeare fanboy, and ridiculously, I was actually expecting to stay. I think I was planning on staying overnight. I just thought what I'd do is the 70th Finals meeting end of May, early June, whenever it was. I thought I could try my love of Shakespeare, spend about 3 or 4 days maybe in Stratford, find somewhere to stay overnight, and probably find some really not too expensive, and just spend some Shakespeare stuff being done. And I made a 3 main theatres in Stratford, did not have a single Shakespeare play when I was going to go, and I thought, oh, that's really helpful, thanks, not bother. First, going to go to an Malvolio playground. I'm Malvolio, which is about one of my favourite characters from 12th Night. Only then to find a Salus Castle began with ill, basically. I think which can't be helped. And so instead, I spent an afternoon. Some of the other places, things. It's not 100% highly rated, and maybe more tourist traps and made checks with things. But say the schoolhouse I went round before the Hunter Chase Meat Finals meeting, and it was a very nice place, very interesting. So Stratford gets into 28 basically because of Shakespeare. Whitaker 27. It's not too expensive racecourse. It's nice. It's one of the only I'd say town/city centre racecourse along with Chester. I don't think anywhere else really is. Nice pubs, decent enough racing. I reckon I think it's a nice seaside-y place basically. I quite like. And to be honest, I quite a little place. It's also there's not too much expensive to get from Newcastle, but again, I'm not quite taking the transport cost into account totally for this. But I think it's a perfectly nice work of a pool. Now I'm trying to think it was awful red and white colours were one thing. I thought it was into Sunderland for some reason, and I remembered I don't know what it was doing. Well, no, I didn't know what it was there for, and that's just my mind had gone. Stupidly white it was red and white, and not any other time. Literally, I think the stand was red and white, and it has not been since. Was Middlesbrough playing a playoff final, and I think we're painting it red and white, or something red and white, but it's outstand. And then it wasn't since then. I thought for them, I think Norwich beat them that day actually in playoffs. But Redcoat, I think, is a nicer place not to go to. There's one thing I didn't about Redcoat, it's a slight issue. I used to way into racecourse from the north, kind of convenient from the town centre, and you just go through into racecourse. There's about 3 entrances there. I don't think there's one from the south, but city east and west and north. And remember reopening after COVID, I was there for the first meeting actually, which was May 2021, and they closed that entrance off. And it's fair enough, they only wanted one entrance, but they've never reopened it at any point. In the remaining, last time I was there, 3-4 years on, it still hasn't opened it yet. And it's a pain to have to go across to the left down and back to the right again. Literally adds about 10 minutes to the journey from the town centre, and they've still not reopened this end. You can get out that way still, but you can't get in. And I'm not going to change Redcourse waiting for this, because I'm still holding it slightly above Stratford and below the course I'll mention in a second. Is a problem though with the racecourse. Musborough 26 has a few listed races, not very high quality racing, but it can get going again quite soon. Get back to for another time to the February 2-day Cheltenham Festival Trials Day, and again it always seems to be like I always like my 10,000 plus to winner races, and I get quite cheap tickets to Edinburgh and back again, and then a ticket to, well, depending when I go to Wallingford or Musselburgh stations. And there's quite a lot to do in Edinburgh actually as well, and so Musselburgh sort of hovers in there like National Gallery, for example, but there's got a lot to do in Edinburgh as well. If I before, maybe something I went at least once after racing. If I went to a very nice place in Edinburgh the evening once after racing. So Musgrave sort of hovers in there at 26. I've beaten them now 17 times. It'll be 18. We're tied third highest with Doncaster and Sandown behind Ascot, York, and Newcastle. And I'm just surprised you keep, but I think it's coming increasingly. I think it's quite a well-run course, to be honest. I think it's just does things well. There's a lot of pubs in Edinburgh. There's a nice pub in Musselburgh I'm going to have to drink in because I don't have train times that work out for me to drink in Edinburgh. But I have plenty in Musselburgh. And a lot of nice pubs in Edinburgh. Tend to be a bit quiet, and some of the best ones are quite small. But I like the place. 25th is Chepstow. I'm not convinced. The reason it's actually this high up is the World Square National. But they, along with now Grade 2 finale hurdle, it'll be lower for one than that. It was now my well put Chepstow lower because it was bleeding drainage. I actually had to go back to Chepstow. I was going to go to World Square National a few years ago, and the day before the meeting was cancelled. And I was actually staying there Airbnb. Only time I stayed in there Airbnb. It was perfectly nice. In Bristol, I was going to get a train, of course. Spent a very nice day in Bristol Zoo, and saw Clifton Suspension Bridge and some other stuff in Bristol. I was a nice day actually, just was expensive because I had to get to Bristol. The whole thing wasn't what I intended. But about a couple of weeks later, went to actually we had scheduled World Square National. But I like my West Square. I think I think World Square National is a good race. That's where Chepstow is at 25. One or two fair pubs there as well. 24 Nottingham. It's a decent race in Nottingham. There's pubs in Nottingham, and that's basically Nottingham. I know great opinion of it. You get into walking, you can know something interesting. You can see Notts County, Notts Forest football grounds. You can actually go and see Trent Bridge. It was wrong direction going to Trent Bridge actually, but you can see around there. I think the pubs help Nottingham in my ratings, because I think our good pubs there. Once went Cricket World Cup, went to 5 games. The first game with Pakistanis was so bad against West Indies. They actually knocked them out of the World Cup in effect, despite being early in the tournament, because they lost before 2 o'clock, and they have to spend the afternoon trying to work out what to do with Nottingham. There's this science centre in Nottingham as well, but Wacey's decent enough. I like the place. I think it's a decent place. 23 Ripon. Has one of the nicest walks and racecourse along a canal. That's 2 canals actually, technically. So you can actually walk on either of them, in fact. Waste is decent enough. And then Wage Racking Whip, and I think it doesn't quite work out. I tend to drink the Harrogate tap, actually, because it's more, I tend to be getting bus and whipping to Harrogate, unless it's an evening meeting when I went to one, so I had to go to Leeds, all the way to Leeds, because Harrogate trains would stop in Newcastle. I was never getting back from it. But I think it's a really nice walk. I think Whip is a decent race course, so that comes in. Decent enough racing. Looks at 23. Airs 22, again, Scottish Grand National helps it. Some decent racing there. Nice pubs. I'm not sure if have it there, and I've mentioned these before. One of it is calling it a Premier Race Course. It's called Premier Race Course, and I'm thinking, what are you basing that on? It's not according to racing, because you have the way to first time hurdle. You had the Future Novices Champion Chase. That's been taken off the schedule now. But Kelso's a great show as well, and it's no more prestigious in that way than Kelso. And there's one time a number of years ago, their former chief executive, who now works in IT, was rather rude about Hamilton racecourse. The whole thing was I find it just a bit dubious, shall we say. But there's some nice pubs, I say. Racing's decent. Been to Scottish Grand National once. Might go again at some point. Attempt to go again, but I'm not sure. Could get quite cheap trying to take to air, but I say I'm not totally taking into account transport issues here as well, like a race course, because it's just my opinions of it. So air itself is nice. Don't really look around it particularly. Keep meaning to get to the coast just to see like different Musselburgh. Actually, I want to see. Finally got to see 4th or 5th last time in Musselburgh after many meetings. Finally got a chance to see it. It's really interesting. A bit of a dreary day, but still really nice view. And I keep seeing to look at the coast of air. And every time there's something went wrong. Last time when there was a train problem. One time I had really enough time to go to a racecourse, get to see the coast, get on the racecourse, and the train was cancelled. Well, I think 2 trains are cancelled in fact. Anyway, Weatherby 21, Grade 2, Charlie Hall Chase, some decent racing there. Probably nice enough. A couple of pubs in Weatherby. Looks a nice place. It's just outside the top 20 and my race courses first number 21. I like the course. I think it's decent racing, and it's brought some fun. I went to one of the new minor-ish flat meetings I bought in recently. Weatherby place looks nice enough. The Weatherby race course is decent enough. It's just outside the top 20. 20 Hamilton. Hamilton quite a bit as well actually. It's more than I would have thought I would have been actually. Currently it's at 9, which puts it 1 below Air, for example, and 1 below Kelso 11, which is one of the surprises me. And Kelso is wouldn't. I mean, Musselburgh at 17, the highest of all of them. Scotland with Perth on 5. I think it's quite well run track. It looks nice. I think one issue of Hamilton, I will say, and it's apparently, I looked it up online, it's an issue of the West Coast sort of Scotland area around Hamilton. Real Ale, don't do it. It doesn't exist. There's a pub now. What is the pub called? Oh, the George Bar. That's it. Yes, it's not Victoria. It's a George Bar. For some reason, the Victorian George and Monarchs are mixing it up. Something says Real Ale. I wonder if it was. There was a karaoke on. Stayed overnight for the Glasgow Stakes meeting because it's an evening meeting. And actually, I don't have karaoke whatsoever. But actually, as an Elvis impersonator, a few other people really were good. Actually, to be fair, so not my scene, but actually it was a double evening actually. It's something I really can't normally have no time for whatsoever. And also visiting I was staying overnight at Hamilton, it's a lot more picturesque than I expected to be the local area. I thought it'd be just about Scotland really. But last time I actually walked from Mother Station over to Hamilton, a lot of time in hand. Got a few hours for first race, and it's about an hour, it's just over an hour. And it was really nice. We were a couple of local park, go for a local park, we've never couple of parks in Hamilton, and so again Hamilton gets top 20 because I just frankly like the area more than I would expect. You talking about, you mentioned to me Hamilton before I ever went to Hamilton Racecourse. Even after the first time I went there, because I didn't know about these parks. The only when I was stayed overnight a few years back, I realised that there's these parks here and there's some interesting stuff in Hamilton. I didn't know there was. So it gets to top 20 again, not so just because of Hamilton. Beverley 19. I know the stiffest 5 filling course in the country, and damn well is. When you walk into it, it's really uphill. Getting along things. The way in from Beverley is along that parallel to the 5 furlong course. Really nice pubs in Beverley. Beverley Minster, that's the radical atheist. Beverley Minster is a very nice place. Not nice pubs. There's racing Beverley. There's a couple of listed races there. It's not to say top quality racing. The two meetings I could think of are Hillary Neal Trophy and the Tour Trophy Day, but it's again Beverley's partly that high because I think Beverley's quite nice. I used to live in Hull as a student back early 90s as well, so I've got something I could pop into Hull for pints maybe if I've been going to Beverley Racecourse. That's done that before, but Beverley has really nice pubs. Possibly some of the nicest pubs I think of any racecourse venue, so that was why Beverley maybe is there. Pontefract 18. Interesting, I didn't know this. You can actually walk around the racecourse. I didn't know it. So it was only when I got the training, not last time, but time before, so I had more time. I saw, people walking around the racecourse outside of it anyway, and I thought, I know you could do that. It's one of the largest racecourses in Europe, being basically just over 2 miles. And I did this, and it's really interesting walkers, some interesting information, interesting stuff in that part. Walk around Pontefract. It's a fairly decent pub. I used to really like one, but I think the staff changed. Not any good, but they actually, after the 5th time, went to Pontefract in 2017 when Jesse asked, "Are you going racing then?" And Dan never really talked to him particularly before that. But just obviously knew where I was going. Pontefract Castle's interesting enough. We renovated some stuff there, so it looks a bit better than used to. Used to be a lot. It used to be cut off. It's a nice enough place. And you get to the train you can get to you can turn which race station you're going to. You get a nice view of the back of the racecourse. So Pontefract's not, and I think the racecourse is decent racecourse actually. I quite like Pontefract. 17 Newcastle, my local track, should be damn higher than this. It was not completely competently managed. As long as it can be lower really. And maybe it's only 17 because it's my local track. It should have better racing in something. It does, I feel. Look at the Kimber race, of course, like Doncaster. Look at graded races it had, and I thought, Doncaster had more. Doncaster lost some of its races recently, actually. Both Newcastle Fighting Faith, I was there again this year. I'm going back to play it, so I found out getting a half-price ticket again for it. Ladies' Day, first time ever misnamed Ladies' Day. Didn't know you could get a half-price ticket, all for a meeting in terms of quality. And really, there's a Bees Rings handicap. I thought one-off and thing I might go to it to see how it happens there. But let's go for the issue of Newcastle. One, I don't really like all of the racing. Two, first time I went there, I member of campaign Real Ale, known as Canberra, and we should have been just granted to enter into a meeting. You had your membership card along with you. Newcastle Racecourse, so they couldn't sort that out. One meeting last 2 races are cancelled because of flood failure, no apology, no wait over time, no email apology afterwards, just completely ridiculous. Another time it was I had a sort of deal, I think it was a race card and a pint and a meat and a pie and an entrance, and it was not clear where you went to get that. One time we went to kind of get into a racecourse, our e-ticket guy, who got e-ticket saying he wouldn't have a scanner, went to a racecourse, and basically, I don't know if they lied or just incompetent or what happened, but basically went back and we had the scanner and didn't basically let on we hadn't had it in the first place. God knows what was going on there. As a mother as well, I can bother to remember them. It's been, these 40-odd race meetings and some have been really uselessly handled. I'm trying to think of others. But I can't bother to remember them. But anyway, the racing's good. But I missed the pub I've around, I hardly ever drink in it because there's just no reason to. I don't on my own, and my friends are into racing at any level at all. So I'll be on my own and I sometimes have a pint somewhere away, but if I live in Newcastle, I just go home. There's no point. The only times I'm on board a Minstrel, which is actually a good pub, was times I used to seems no longer doing with Cheltenham Festa preview event Newcastle. The one things they did well. It used to be quite cheap, and my not price for a bit. It didn't. It says a lot. But it used to be, if there was a meeting in the afternoon, I'd go to a meeting, even if it wasn't a high quality meeting, and then have a pint in Bournemouth, and then go to Cheltenham Festa preview event in the evening. It was, a good event. Actually, the Winning West Company as a whole, they seem to have gone from them. Actually, I know they went to Doncaster one as well, and that seems to have disappeared. So for pubs, there are a lot of nice pubs in Newcastle generally, but I just don't drink them because I live in Newcastle. There's no reason to go after racing because I live in Newcastle anyway. I don't go home. So it should be better than it is, and simply it isn't. 16 Kempton, trying to close it again and not letting on about things. That was been pretty poor from them. Went to King George once, had to get a plane let down because there's no transport of Newcastle on Boxing Day, which is a real problem. I was a route each way done about 11 months in advance, and I once checked. I was spent Christmas Day at my mum's, when then the next day going to get to Kempton on the plane for the next day, and so quick. When I came home from my mum's, I did look at what it cost one way. Was £329 on the plane. Well, I think Racing Kempton's quite decent. It used to be an argument, I think, even before Docker tried to knock it down. It was like a car park. I think that's unfair. Racing Kempton's decent. Lack of pubs though, that's one thing. I've actually drunk twice in Richmond, I think it is, in Kingston. I can't always forget which one it is. Because one time I went to Kempton, once there was a strike. on the trains, so I had to get a bus that way. Another time there was, instead of that, there was Total Innovation, so I had to get a bus again from Richmond or Kingston, where one it was, and I drank, maybe, I don't know if it's the same pub, nice pub in whichever one it was, Kingston or Richmond, and I still can't remember. One with a bus station, but I think both may have a bus station. I'd recognise it when I see it, but so again, I think Kempton Racing's decent. I've got the Quarterstone Dazorka statues a minute in there. Obviously there's some great looking I think it is a good day, but obviously difficult to get to. I've been to it once. Yeah, I think it's a decent enough track actually, Kempton. I think, I don't have an issue with it. I see on the issues that some other people do. Goodwood 15. Getting Goodwood's little low, and it might be really nice to be at Goodwood. That's one thing I'll say. Even once I had the Lennox ticket actually, and I just, which is a third class ticket, I thought it was just cheap, I think. And so you can't get parade doing or pre-parade doing with Lennox tickets. But a nice time, really nice view across where the Goodwood is, basically. Whereas, to the pubs, Chichester has some nice pubs. It's where you be. One issue might though is the bus from Chichester because Goodwood, it actually costs money when it doesn't to us every year, and it's not cheap, £6-7 return. So racing was good. I think it's top quality, so especially if it was good at meeting. One issue, and I know Mike, I can't pronounce Mike's surname, I don't know how you pronounce it, has an issue. That's one reason we hate Goodwood, is the dress code partly dress code, one with some means he doesn't like York, but it's about the members only for Goodwood in the Richmond enclosure. I agree, I think it's a bit annoying. So it's one of the reasons down at 15, given it would be high behind on class of racing it actually has. But I think it's a really nice view apart from anything else. Epsom 14. You go to Middle Racecourse often, and that's I don't think Derby Oaks there, I don't think you can. The 2 days there, I doubt you can, but I did for the trials meeting, I was there. It's an interesting thing, you can have a look around to where Derby Start is. Obviously you've got with Derby Oaks top quality racing. I think the problem Epsom has, my view is, the racing outside that is Derby, the Oaks day 2 days, and the trials day is weak. I'd like to, at some point, I'd like to go, if they had three other derbies, I would say, the apprentice jockeys, the ladies jockeys, the jump jockeys, and the amateur jockeys, the 4 of them, on the same meeting, I'd actually probably go down just once just to see it, but unfortunately it's scattered around the year, basically, the meeting, so it's not worth me going to it for that. But I say meeting isn't great, I think, on top of most days, so it's one of the problems I think Epsom has, but it's great. I think I like the racecourse. Well, the only time I ever top hat and morning suit was to go to Derby. Let me in for that. With North Ascot, I can't do that. It's not in the class of society of that ilk. But Epsom let me in as well. Good grief. But I like West. I like Racecourse is good. Pubs around there. I drink it in a sort of off license, which had a sort of license, which is very strange. I just buy a can and bottle of something, as well as some craft ale or something, and drank it there. It's interesting. That's it. Actually one time, 4 times to Epsom. I think it's a decent racecourse. I just think racing could be a bit better. Doncaster 13, yet again, as I had a complaint last time round, ran out of racecourse for the first race. This has stopped happening about 7 years ago. First, literally 5 times, I'm sure it was 5 times. I was circa the first 10 times at Doncaster, ran out of racecourse for the first race, and it happened again. All went down for sale. I don't know what happened last meeting, and I just somewhat thought of them, basically. I walked off and said, well, it used to happen and it's not good enough. I was just, don't swear at them, but I was being clear, but it was pathetic. I had like a sheet of paper this time on, and I didn't even pick it up. Racing's decent, Doncaster, got the Ledger, been to it once, and I was going to put a few places lower down, but then I remembered, but Doncaster Brewery Tap, my favourite pub in the country, and I grew up a great fan of the pub. I was actually there for a few pints after racing, 17.5% beer, I think it was. God, that was. But all I'll say is I went to sleep, I got on the train at York and woke up in Newcastle. I did not bet anything between it after some drinks there. The racing's decent, the pub puts it up higher than a few when it might be otherwise, frankly. I was going to put it lower down, I thought, oh, no, Doctor Brewery Tap, you're going up for that. You've got a few places for that. And so, that's decent. But one at racecourse before first race continues, why. So lots go after that, gains it for the pub. Got July course, I'm splitting my Newmarket racecourse into 2 of them. Very nice pre-parade ring, good quality racing. There's arguments about Newmarket, one problems of both. July course, William Mile course, you need your binoculars and potentially to see where the horses are until later on in the race. But I think both Newmarket courses have top quality racing, like Headquarters, the race course. And I think it's good racing, and I like the July course. pubs. There's a really nice pub in Exning. Unfortunately, about 40 minutes walk north of Newmarket, which is a problem. So only ever to go to it when I was staying overnight in Newmarket, and that's been pretty well. That's pretty rare. That's been for quite a few years now, actually. Not in fact, in about 9 years now. Last time I stayed in Burwell later on, but that's somewhere else actually, Newmarket. There's a nice pub there in Burwell actually when I stayed overnight. Anyway, one time in the Exning, I bumped into someone who claimed who was, and I no reason to doubt him. It sounded like he was Chad, one of Mark Prescott's lads I know him, and he seemed a perfectly nice guy, nice, friendly person. I think it's a white horse rather than wheat chief. I'm not sure. Looking at reviews, I can't remember which one. I'd recognise it when I saw it. Basically, it's been a couple of times. But pubs in Newmarket are a bit ropey. I've drank them when I just had a pint and a breakfast actually when I've been going racing and stayed overnight in Newmarket. But I'm not a great fan of them. I remember once I think I stayed overnight for Guineas. I don't know, twice now actually. Have I? No, I don't think I think last time I might have just gone for a day to Wendover when we're Guineas. 2017, I stayed overnight and I went to this pub in Exning and back down again, and it looked in the centre of Newmarket. It looked rough. A lot of drunken people. I think the police were around. It's not a place I would like to be in. I think the police have found a pub elsewhere, frankly, to drink in. Another good thing in Newmarket for both courses is revamped at National Horse Racing Museum. The original one I went to actually was perfectly good. This revamped one is really is top quality. Last time was actually at the July course last year. I managed to spend an hour and a half towards that in there. Not as long as I would have liked, because it's quite a large thing. Didn't have to retraining racehorses parks then. I was too busy on the picture gallery, which is very interesting, that part of it as well. There's other things I've done in Newmarket, things like seeing Frankel at Master Man of Stud and Discover Newmarket. Well, the Frankel one was technically just for the day, I know, and it wasn't to a race meeting, although the tour of National Studs, I tour William Jarvis's training establishment, all was very interesting indeed. We technically argue that Frankel Tour shouldn't really be part of this. It was actually a racing visit. There was no way. You actually got a free ticket, but actually for a different meeting. But I couldn't actually make that meeting. But still, the rest, all of it adds up to putting Newmarket again in high position. The only reason it's not higher than it is, and all in mile as well, is because frankly there's no other good race courses on this list. Lebanon Coa, there's a redeveloped when I went there for a 2-day visit. Some I'm saying really sorry it's not looking as good as it should do really. Someone was just standing there. But I mean, I went for the Irish Derby and we then 2 days, I can't wait till it was day or 4 day afterwards. So it was decent racing. Now I've actually not put the coat up a few places again for non-direct horse racing. I was after Stud, very nice in the Kildare area. I was staying 2 days actually, so an extra day, and had a certain morning there. Got to the Irish National Hunt Legends there before Simon went over to me thinking I had a carrot, and then he went off again when he was I didn't. But a very strange Japanese garden because the Walker brothers, the other one I think might be a bit even more than he was. There's a connection with someone that one Walker's, I think maybe his brother, which Walker it was, the sons of the guy who's in the Art Gallery Liverpool's named after. Paul Walker's one of them. The other one, Ian Walker, I think, is named of course Hitler, so that says a lot about some of the family members. And he's maybe less. His brother, I think it's his brother, named did breeding based on horoscopes, and something that's mad with the two brothers. But it's really, it's really worth going to if you're in the area for racing, especially for Koa. It's a very interesting Japanese garden, a very nice little stone of National Hunt Legends as well. And it wasn't quite as high class as it might have been because it's been redeveloped, but it was nice enough place. Haydock at 10, top quality racing, quality on the flat with jumps. This roundabout here, this is going of course from the little difficult way to place race courses. Some of these I think don't have too many things wrong with them. That's why Haydock is the first of my top 10. I like the course. Pubs, there's a couple near Bryn. I'm trying to think where you're looking at. The walk between Bryn and Haydock, there's a couple of fair pubs in that. The fair possession in the Macclesfield, which is basically walking between Bryn Station and the racecourse. That's number of times once I think now started changing my plans and decided to get a train to Wigan and a bus from Wigan to base Haydock Park. It's a bit quicker. Wigan has a number of nice pubs in it actually. Cheap one of them, I remember getting a pint for just over £2 and I thought good grief, that is cheap. I mean I'm not a great Wetherspoons fan, as I've said in a few of my videos, but this is no Wetherspoons pub and it was just it's 220. Oh man, it is cheap. Well, there's some nice pubs pubs in Wigan are certainly like that. Haydock, I think it's good stuff, good racing, and I like racecourse. 9, Newmarket Woolly Mile course. Yeah, the difference in Newmarket Woolly Mile course to the high course, splitting them up. Other guineas, 2,000, 1,000 guineas, that's the reason I think Newmarket, put Woolly Mile course here, that, I've basically said what I'm saying about Newmarket and 4th of July course. So I just add, but I like that, the 2 guineas, that's why it's at number 9. 8, Leopardstown. Only went once. I was some hurdle day and I was Arc all day. I like the course. It was it was nice racing. Wasn't too expensive compared to something what you were expecting playing Britain. Certainly, I was going to a Cheltenham Festival a bit later. It was damn sight cheaper than that was when it was 2016 Cheltenham Festival. No, good grief, of course, now is ridiculous at Cheltenham Festival. But racing was good, only been once, mind getting back maybe, but planes are a lot more expensive. It used to be with 15 quid each way right there and a cheap air coach thing to racecourse. That's not the case anymore. I might have a look at some point in this sort of thing, but yeah, I thought it was a quality racecourse and I enjoyed it. Post down at 7, only been sort of once, but I was stayed a week for 5 days Post Festival 2017. I think it's slightly better than Leopardstown. That's miles number 2 in my view. To the pubs, in Ireland, I didn't really find anything, no real ale. I don't think it's not really a great thing in Ireland, certainly not then, or anything craft ale related. I had a pint of Guinness actually basically close to the, I remember we went to Leopardstown, I'm not sure with one of the race courses, or maybe Punches down, because it was next to the brewery basically, and it was a better pint than normal for Guinness, but I'm a great I'd sort of porter, stout, real ale drinker than Guinness. But Punches down itself, yeah, I think it's just a bit. It looks better than Leopardstown. I think I remember why. I think it looks just a bit more high quality. Although nothing on Leopardstown, but Leopardstown just a little extra. 6, Newbury. I just think it's a bit. It's better to say Haydock. It's just I think it's a little better quality. I like racecourse. I think Common Cask pub. That's a nice pub. But I've really got I've really 2 or maybe 3 times had to trust drinking it because it's the wrong direction from London to Newbury racecourse. Newbury's on one side, so really have a time to drinking it. Did last time with Newbury, but Newbury racecourse, it's got a lot of top quality racing. Don't we just say often these racecourse have issues with it? Don't we have an issue with Newbury? One's all rated lower down. I have issues with Newbury. I don't have it. It's just nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's a nice quality racecourse with quality racing. 5, Sandown. Again, I actually had Sandown Newbury all the way around and changed my mind, and I can't remember why. Oh, I now do remember why. It was because you can see the 5 furlongs finish at Sandown. And I like to do that. And there's not that many people do it because I don't think people know you can. You just walk across. You politely maybe ask when you're going across 2 or 2 of the start, just are you allowed to do this? Just a sort of politeness. You've never been stopped for doing it before for flat meet. Flat. Yeah, again, top quality flat and jump racing at Sandown. Pubs, there used to be Albert Arms was a nice pub there, but that got taken over as family dispute actually, oddly enough, and got taken over in the end by Fuller's, and frankly I can drink in a Fuller's pub anywhere really. There's a Wheat Chief I think in Sandown. I've done it once or twice. Problem with Sandown and pubs is again it's similar as Newbury. The Easter stations in the north east. Westwood Centre, pubs in the southwest, so it's just a bit of a pain really to deal with them and go back out to racecourse, to a station. But Sandown has top quality racing and I'm a great fan of the course. York 4, again it's not where you put racecourses here in this order. I'm a great fan of the course. I know Mike has problems with York, and I agree that you can't really have to have the Premier ticket to be in line with the finishing line at York. That is a problem, I have to admit. However, you get nice seats if you are that part. I'm a great fan of the course, and there's a lot of good quality racing at York. I have no issue with it, bar that issue about the Premier having to have Premier tickets to be in line with race course. Our issue is often when I'm stand ticket, I'm not actually going on pre-parade and parade. It's a bit of a trek down there as well from where I am to go back again for racing. So it's one thing I would argue almost York actually would have been higher up actually than 4 for that, but I think there's a lot of great racing there. Another thing I'll add in about York is a lot of things to do with York, and last time around, last race meeting actually, second time amazing, it has been York Dungeon, just grounds that I hadn't been there before, and it's a very nice, enjoyable event. Or was that the second last one? Last one was York Chocolate Factory. I can't remember that was for the York Beer Festival. Because often I meet friends at the York Beer Festival, and some of also going horse racing, and some they always make sure to do something earlier in York and an earlier train. So I can't remember sometimes when I've done stuff, whether it's for York Beer Festival or before horse racing meeting. There's lots of stuff to do in York, and most of it done more than once, and they're getting to a stage now I'm running out of things to do because I've been to York so many times. Talking about pubs in York, I went to an evening meeting and I saw Queen cover band called Majesty. I'm not a fan of cover bands, but I thought I'd listen to this one, hang around after this racing at the evening meeting at York. And then, which was actually a really, really good gig indeed, I have to say. When I went to a pub in New York, a couple of pints. And I thought I'd have a look up on my Real L stuff for, let's say, a local pub in New York, and let's see what we have, a free sort of guest ale, so we say, and I found about 60 pubs. It's ridiculous how many real pubs are in York. It's just madness. The York Tap in the station is actually a perfectly good pub. There's some others as well, so in shit not short of pubs in York. To be honest, I tend not to do too many of them because they never have that long. I mean, York Tap's safe enough, and I'm a train back, I may as well just go there really. I might look in maybe some other times, maybe going to other pubs instead. I spend a bit more time in York. Ascot 3. I wasn't sure I was going to put Ascot 2, and I might have done, but partly the Royal Ascot is that you can't to be in the know, so the people so say to get into the Royal Enclosure and Royal Ascot, so you know, and then grandstanding you need to have a suit, and I'm let's face it, I'm too putting my weight on to put into my suits, and I don't need to one for anything else at the minute, so I've got a number I need to get into at some point and do some bleeding weight. Waiting wise, absolutely top quality Ascot. Strategems again, I mean, slightly better, I think, than Mayor and Sandown and Newbury. One odd thing I have mentioned before in Ascot was only time ever in my racecourse been asked them to check my bag while I've been inside the racecourse. Not outside to get in, but inside it. And I've never seen anyone else treat it like that at Ascot or anywhere else. And if I had, your time back, so we say, I would have asked, why are you doing this? And it is an issue, that. And I felt it was just uncomfortable. Did I think I shouldn't be in a premier closure? Did I not look like a white sort of person? Or at least I tell us in my bag? But no one else has been treated like that. Ever. I've certainly not seen it. Never mind me or anyone else at any other racecourse. It's very, very strange. But pubs, to be fair, I was drunk at a pub in Ascot. It was a perfectly fair pub near the racecourse. But, I may have got to drink it. I just drink in London, to be honest. I don't think there's a lot in Ascot, and I wouldn't necessarily hang around there. But I had great fun of it. Top quality racing. Aintree 2, best room racing in my view. Lord Daresby, we've always got to think of that racecourse, or at least either for them to Aintree, or at least with a ticket, or at least gone to that viewing point, if it's more general grandstand type event, because we've got to agree, just for 3 days of one national meeting, you have to have a specific ticket for the Lord Daresby roof. But yeah, it's fantastic, great fun racing, top quality racing, Grand Nationals. There's issues about what's the changes to race. No, I don't agree with all of them, certainly change of offences I think was a mistake, but you get the great view. It's great racing nowadays outside that meeting as well. We do a 3-day meeting, there's other races there as well. Go have a course. I mean, I think I'm a great fan. Yep, great. I'm a great fan of Aintree. Aintree pubs was the Jackson's micro pub. It's actually just, I think, crossed the border into Liverpool. Aintree Racecourse is not actually Liverpool. It never has been, I think. The first extensive Grand National course are bound between Liverpool and Sefton Council, and I think before 1974 government reorganisation, I think Aintree still would have been in Lancashire and not in the Liverpool Council. This pub was exactly just into Liverpool, and unfortunately it's closed down at some point since I was actually there. There's the Crown, a pub in Liverpool itself, quite near Lime Street Station, is nice enough. Can be a bit crowded. There was a pub I found just about a few minutes away. That's perfectly nice. I'm sure there's other pubs in Liverpool as well, but because those two near the station, I tend to look that. One issue I had in Aintree, and it's very strange, and I've mentioned this once before in a video, at least once anyway. I was a youngish couple, maybe early 30s, I don't know who they were. They just started acting strangely towards me, and I was just I don't know which of the 3 Grand National days it was. I don't think it was National itself, maybe Ladies' Day, I'm not sure which it was actually. And they just gave me something to look after. I mean, it was just bullshit. It was just some stupid thing, and it was like aggressively doing it, and it was just bloody odd, frankly. And what they do, just act like dickheads. I don't know what the hell they're doing, and I just sort of just ignored them frankly afterwards. So it's an odd one in Aintree, and I don't know what happened there. Maybe it's a large crowd, so the idiot factor can be higher in major race meetings. I doubt they're racing fans. Of course, you have race meetings, you need fans to turn up for it. I mean, you want to do quite a few darts videos recently, and sometimes the PDC crowd can be stupid, but then again, it's where the money comes from. For players are getting a lot of prize money, that's where the money comes from often as well. And racecourses need to keep going, so ladies' days, gentlemen's days, certain music events, and need them to extend. What I don't like is music events on major race meetings make a price too expensive. I should be on minor meetings. Cheltenham, that's number 1 because of Cheltenham Festival and quality of racing, but it costs are ridiculous. The cost currently is ridiculous. I only went earlier this year because partly for getting a free ticket for being giving some money to racing welfare. As a friends of racing welfare, I got a free ticket to any jockey club course. I think there's 2 tickets, and I now found out you might be using them for different meetings. I didn't know that. At any meeting, bar Cheltenham Gold Cup Day, be Grand National and Epsom Derby Day, any other Grace Jockey Club course, you can get a ticket to go. And I actually the best mate ticket I have for this, and I used it for the Thursday. Chelsea, I found out it was a grandstand ticket, and I thought, good lord, this is a better ticket than I expected to get for it. I think, good grief, it's the best mate. And then on the Gold Cup Day, was like, in the way towards the racing, gave certain people, including me, it's like £75 or something, and I just gave it. I don't quite know why, and I think I used a Cheltenham Festival ticket, so I thought, well, I'll stay overnight. I found it was 50 quid a night, it was about half an hour train out of Cheltenham. So I looked into this, and I look now, and I found out that place is now more expensive, so my plan may have gone. But then I went Thursday and Friday this year. I'm not going this year. I tend to thought of it when I went to see. I was going to see comedian Wanda Gilbert, and he was and he was ill, unfortunately. Had to cancel and rearrange, and his rearrange is actually for the day of the Cheltenham Gold Cup. So I'm in Middlesbrough for it. So I'm watching racing probably in Middlesbrough actually on Cheltenham, and then we'll go to the bookie somewhere or other, and then want to see Wanda Gilbert live. But it's my favourite race course. That's a lovely race. I like the statues. I love the quality of racing. The cost is unacceptable, but it shows how much I like race course fanatics. And still with all that in count, Cheltenham still remains my favourite race course. And Cheltenham, but one thing I had, as I mentioned about Cheltenham, which was an issue, is I have some bit of dandruff. And yet when I was standing with stands, someone just behind me, never heard them before, said something about head and shoulders to wind me up. And it was just, who the flimming hell they were, I don't know, never met them before in my entire life. And it's just, I don't know what happened. I don't know, again, maybe just the idiot factor, as I talked about injury. Maybe it's a race meeting, maybe just arseholes, frankly. To the Cheltenham pubs. The Sanford Park Alehouse is a nice pub. It's about a 10-minute walk outside Cheltenham city centre. And often was sort of listening to blunt piss says at a festival, say. Also would dive into the nearest pubs. I'm my old, because I was saying none of my friends go racing. And actually, Cheltenham Festival 2016, I was able to actually get a meal there and a seat all 4 days. And as you can guess how packed Cheltenham Festival, pubs will be for that period, because it's just about a 10-minute walk outside of it. And also the other time when that nice pub was the other side of Cheltenham. Again, 10 minutes walk the other way. I think Sanford Park Alehouse is probably, I don't know which way it is actually. I got my orientation out really. I think Sanford Park Alehouse to the east, to the west, this other pub. 10 minutes walk the other way, because I was staying overnight somewhere for the New Year's Day meeting, and I had a nice pint at that pub, quite quiet, even though it was relatively busy at Cheltenham for the New Year's Day meeting. Again, a nice pub there. I think the other pubs, the problem is they're just so packed at the festival or anything like that. I mean, it can be difficult. I'm into somewhere, so we say, 50-minute drive, train, walk wide away. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say where it is, although now it's become more expensive, I think, it looks like, to stay there, because I want to try and save for myself, and then we'll listen to video things, you find somewhere cheap to stay at Cheltenham Festival. But there's a nice pub there as well, for a couple of pints. It's that obscure place. So yeah, there's some nice enough pubs in Cheltenham, but I think they can probably expect them very, very busy.